Hello, you guys. Happy Sunday and welcome back to another live. I know I've been MIA for a while. As you know, I've been traveling. I was in New York for a bit and then I was in Florida for quite some time. But now I'm back and I'm happy to be back here with you on this Sunday for a live. We've got some beautiful natural light and I have a lot to get through with you guys. I'm warning you, I might go off. I might go off on this live per usual. So get your notes ready. Make sure that you're paying attention. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave it in the comment box below and I will be happy to answer any of your comments. Okay. There is a lot to get through today and I want to kind of give you some context of what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to go through some of the posts that I made and provide you with some insights and further talk about it and elaborate on it just so that you know exactly what I was talking about in the points. Of course, I have my notes, so we're going to go nice and slow. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment box and I will be happy to answer it. So the first thing I want to start off with is the broadcast channel. As some of you know, there's some of you in the free Sovereign Circle broadcast channel. The link is in my bio. You can just click on it and subscribe. It's free. And in that broadcast channel, I often post predictions. I often post predictions about the collective. And I had posted a prediction that there was going to be a mass shooting at some point. And I had said in my prediction, I had said the geographic location. I specifically said it was going to be in Florida. And I said the type of students. I said these are older students. These are not children. These are not elementary school students. These are university or high school students. So I was right. Are we surprised? No. Because I've made predictions in the past before and I've always been right. I'm always right. So we saw the FSU shooting that happened, right, at the campus. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, what is the point of you telling us about the predictions? And I've said this before many times. The point of me telling you about the predictions is that you can take some preventative measure or you can take some action. I've given enough specifics in that post or in that little explanation of where this would happen. So the preventative measure or the action that you could take looks different for everybody. If you know as a parent or as an adult and you're in my audience and you know, okay, I have a child who is a university student and this sounds like the geographic region, maybe I could let them know. Maybe I could, put red flags into their mind. Maybe I could let them know, make sure you bring your cell phone that day. Make sure it's charged. Make sure you stay out of the commons area. Make sure you go right to your dorm or back home after your classes. There's always something that you can do to let them know that this might happen in your geographic region or in this location, right? Something is just a warning is enough for somebody. So I'm not saying that, you need to go storm campuses and, try to prevent anything. I'm saying have enough of an awareness. I've extended the courtesy by giving you the awareness. It's your job to take that awareness that I've now given you and extend it to somebody else, whether that's your child or somebody you know in that area, where you can help them and avoid tragedies like this or not have them be in situations like this. So that is the point of sharing collective predictions like this. Unfortunately, I'm able to tap into the collective and make predictions that always come true. That's just the gift I was given. So again, when I'm sharing this in the broadcast channel, do your part, right? I'm not saying you guys know what your part is. It's different for everybody. So again, join the free broadcast channel. It's very important. Lots of predictions, lots of insights going on in there. I've also predicted a volcanic eruption. And I've talked a little bit about this in the broadcast channel. It looks to be near water or around water. I don't want to say Hawaii, but I feel like it's like Hawaii, Thailand. It's a very tropical area and it's like a volcano that they were not expecting to erupt and then has all of a sudden erupted. So again, look out for that. When I get more details about that, I'll definitely let you guys know. The other thing that I am seeing is And I hate to say it, but another shooting. There will be another mass shooting. This is, what are we in? We're in May. This will be 6 months to I'm seeing it more in the fall, start of school year, which is September, October-ish. That's all the details I have about that right now. I don't have any more insight into that. But again, I am seeing another mass school shooting around the start of the new semester or the school year, which is later in the year, which is September, October. So when I get more insight about that, I will definitely post it in the broadcast channel, and then it's up to you. You can listen to me or you cannot, and you can just go about your daily life or try to do something preventative, right? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is I had made a post about spirit animals and how I had seen another spirit animal. I had seen the white rabbit. So again, like I told you, I write down all my dreams and visions in a little book, and I saw the white rabbit. So let me just tell you a little bit about what the white rabbit means. This was in March that I saw it. So I'm literally out here. Let me back up a little bit, you guys. Some of you guys know I have seen tons of spirit animals, and this just isn't like I'm seeing a picture of a spirit animal. Spirit animals work very differently. They will make themselves known to you, not meaning in my 3D reality, I see a rabbit on the ground or I see, a cardinal. No, they appear in your subconscious and they are communicating with you and giving you insight. And it is very different than seeing them in a dream. It is very different than seeing them in your 3D reality, right? They are there for a separate purpose. So you have to understand how spirit animals work and how they communicate and when it is that you're actually seeing a spirit animal. So the white rabbit, listen to this. The white rabbit symbolizes fertility and abundance. The white rabbit extends this idea into the spiritual realm. It represents the renewal of energy, creativity, and life. Seeing a white rabbit may signal a fertile period for spiritual growth, new ideas, and a deeper connection to universal energies. Who does not want that? Who does not want to see that? Nobody, right? So I saw him. And guys, I am literally out here just collecting encounters with spiritual animals. And you should be too. And I say that because a lot of you are not even there yet. You're not even to the place where you've encountered spiritual animals. I think I've encountered I can count maybe 10 or more at this point. I've listed them. I've made posts about them. I've introduced you guys to who they are and what they look like and how they operate. Each animal's a little bit different. Each animal tells different things. So again, you should be working towards that. You should be working towards, okay, how can I, get myself to a level of consciousness where I'm able to have spirit animals come to me and you not reaching out to them, and that they're giving you messages and insights, and how can they be an asset to you in your spiritual toolbox and help you in your own development. That should be your goal. Everybody should be working towards this, right? Once you start seeing spirit animals, that's an indication to you that, hey, I am on the right track. I am making the right kind of steps here in my spiritual journey that is mirroring back to me where I am at. So again, if you're not even seeing any spirit animals, then that would indicate to me that's a problem. That's a you problem, not a me problem. So again, you really need to start working on your development. And this goes into the next post that I had made a while back, okay? So the next, sorry guys, I keep putting on this lip gloss because it's so good. It's so like juicy. Okay, so the next post that I made, let me know if you guys have any questions. Hello to everybody that's joined. Okay, so the next post that I made is that you need to be more accountable for the density or light of your own energy. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm saying with this spirit animals. you need to be responsible for why you're not seeing them or why you are seeing them. You need to be responsible for your light energy, your light body. It is nobody's responsibility but yours. You need to be held accountable for where you're at. Crystals, cards, psychedelics are not a replacement for development of your own personal processes. And I have said this so many friggin' times because I see a lot of spiritual teachers and coaches talking about, cards and crystals and ayahuasca. Listen, those things are temporary. They fill a gap, they fill a void, they take you to a place where they will give you exposure of different levels of consciousness, but it is not a long-standing process. It will not sustain you. It will not get you to further development, right? It is temporary, it's filler. You need to develop a personal process. You should not be relying on psychedelics or marijuana or meditation or anything like this to get you where you need to be, to get you seeing spirit animals, to get you getting downloads, to get you getting insights. You shouldn't be relying on these things, right? It should come very naturally to you. It should be part of your essence, your being. So again, you really need to develop your own personal process. And I see a lot of people not doing this. And this is where I also say, when I talk about, manifestation is different for everybody, because a lot of people have their own personal processes on how to manifest, and that works for them. But when you try to take your own personal process and push it on someone else, it doesn't work. And then that person's like, well, why doesn't it work? Because it's not your process. Everybody's at a different level. Everybody's at a different stage. You need to have your own process. So that's why I share these tools and these insights with you, so you can take the information that I'm giving with you and use it to develop your own process. Like, get with the program here. Get with the program. People are accelerating. In the coming years, what do you think is going to happen? My business is going to take off. Spirituality is going to go through the roof. People are going to be excelling at a higher rate. And you're going to get left behind because you do not have a personal process. And if you do not develop a personal process, what does that mean? You are dependent. You are dependent on the cards. You're dependent on the crystals. You're dependent on the going for yoga retreats. You're dependent on ayahuasca. You're dependent on marijuana. You do not have the answers within, and the answers will not appear to you. So again, you need your own personal processes on how to do things, how to manifest, how to create, how to access the higher realms, how to get insights, how to get downloads. You need your own personal process. And I've said this so many times, and I literally do not see people out here trying to develop those things. And I've done a little research of my own, right? I've gone on the other app and I've gone on this app, and I've spoken to other readers and people who are, going live and doing spiritual teachings and sharing information and sharing knowledge. And like I said to you before, hi Alam Bazaar, how are you? A lot of these people who are like giving out spiritual knowledge and insights are sophisticated merchants. A lot of the people that I've seen on these apps and who are sharing with you and giving you insights are dependent on cards. They're dependent on tarot cards or divination tools. They cannot channel. And I literally say in the comments, right, I pretend I'm a little bystander and I'm like, so do you channel? And they're like, no, I just use the cards. Well, that's a problem. If you're solely dependent on using tarot cards or divination tools, that's not enough. That will not be enough. Okay? And again, a lot of people don't have processes, and you need to have a process in place. You cannot be dependent on these things. And you'll see, if you've had a personal reading for me, I do use the cards, but a majority of the time I'm also channeling, right? Other things are going on, other insights are happening. So again, if you don't have a process, you're going to be stuck. At some point, it will stop, right? There will be no growth. It will curb itself. And then what are you going to do? You need to break past that barrier and try to elevate higher. And you won't know how to do that on your own because you're dependent on all of these other tools. So again, crystals cards are not a replacement for development of your own personal process. This is something you need to develop on your own. This is something that you need to develop immediately. Immediately, you need to develop these. Hi, Christina, Vovo, EXO, how are you? You immediately need to start developing process to access higher consciousness. I cannot stress that enough. If you are not doing that, you are going to run into a problem. That's it. I've said it. You're going to run into a problem. And we can already see this playing out in society where you don't have any access to higher consciousness and you're running into a problem. Right? Right. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the next post where I had said, you need to come to the universe in need, not want, in prayer and full respect, not impatience and expectation. If you do this, it will serve you every time. Yes. Listen, I don't know how many times I can explain this. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, is unlike anything you've ever encountered before. It knows your intentions, just like, oh, I know everybody's intentions, right? When you have that level of consciousness, you have a certain level of awareness. So if you are coming to the universe and saying, I need this, I want this, they will know if you internally want it or need it. So that's why you have to come in need. You have to come in prayer and with full respect. Any sort of bullshit energy or any sort of like trickery or like any kind of like thing you do that is not with good intention and with full respect, they're gonna know. The universe is gonna know. Your spirit guides are gonna know. If you come with impatience and expectation, you're not getting shit. You're not getting anything. Okay? It will know. It knows everything. It's all seeing. So you really have to come correct. And I see a lot of people who don't do this, right? They try to rush things. They try to rush their manifestations. And I'm thinking of an example where people have an altar or like like a place where they go in prayer or they leave offerings for their ancestors and spirit guides and the universe or whatever. And, they put down their lottery ticket and they're saying, oh, please God, let me win. Bless this lottery ticket. You're putting that down because you want to win, right? Because you want the money. It's like a very different energy. And so they're going to pick up on that and they're going to know that your intention is wrong, right? That obviously you want the money for your own benefit or to do whatever you want to do with it. That's not how you go about that, right? You really need to be with the utmost respect and the best way to access this is through prayer. And I know that's going to trigger people because people are like, well, I'm not religious. Bitch, no one said you had to be religious, okay? You don't need to be religious to pray. Like, everybody's way of praying looks differently, right? It could just be having a conversation with spirit or universe or God or whatever you want to call it. Nobody's saying you need to get down on your knees and like drink wine and offer bread, okay? Nobody said that. So like, figure out what works for you. And this is to the process. What is your process of approaching spirit? What is your process of communicating with the divine? Like, how are you going to go about this? Some of you don't even have a process. You don't even have a process and you don't even know how to come correctly. So how are you going to get what you want? You don't even know how to come with respect. You don't even know how to offer respect to the universe. So how is this going to work from you? If you do it like the way I said that you should do it, it will serve you every time. You will not be without. You will not lack. You will always get what you want. It may not be when you want it, but you'll always get what you want. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hi to everybody that's joined. Okay, so again, it will serve you every time. The reason it's not serving you every time is because you're doing something wrong. So you need to figure out what is it that you're doing wrong and change course and start doing it right. That's literally what you need to do. Oh my gosh, is this making sense to you guys? I can't believe we have to dial it back like this. I can't believe I have to dial it back like this. Okay, the next part that I'm going to talk about is, it's a little bit complex, okay? It's a little bit complex. Actually, let me backtrack a bit. Let's before I talk about the timelines, let's go back to, I made another post about Mother's Day. I took my mother and my aunt to the tulip fields. Guys, it is your mother's first time living too. It's their first time experiencing life. They may have done things wrong. They may have done things right. What you can do at this time is honor them in the simplest ways, spend time with them, take them to see things, do things, just give them some sort of loving energy. The mother is a very, very important figure in your life. The mother is the closest person to the divine. Think about it. The mother is able to create life. So you really need to understand the mother relationship, and a lot of you need to work on the mother relationship, because if you don't have this relationship right, and if you don't honor this relationship in a way that is respectful and that works for your dynamic, I understand that everybody has different dynamics. So that's what I'm saying. It has to work for your dynamic, but you really need to understand the mother relationship and how it plays out into your life and the mother wounds, and you need to really work on that and heal that. So that's why I'm saying and sharing with you what I did for Mother's Day, right? So that you can get some ideas. Okay, maybe I can do something like this too. I'm not saying you need to go out and spend all day with your mom like I did, but I'm saying maybe you can give some flowers, right? Just some sort of honoring, some sort of recognition. Okay, maybe that's a better word. Let's use the word recognition of the mother essence and the being and the connection of the mother to the divine. Okay, give recognition to that relationship. It will serve you in the long run. Let's just leave it like that. I'm not going to go into healing your mother wounds. I will another time, but you guys aren't even there yet, so let's just keep going a little bit more. Well, the next topic is like a loaded topic too, but hopefully you guys will understand it. I'm going to talk about timelines, and I'm going to talk about jumping timelines. I had made a couple of posts about this. Jumping timelines, I know a lot of you know about this, and I know a lot of you have seen me do this. You could see this kind of in my content where I'm showing you, okay, I am working in law, or I am going to fashion shows, or I am traveling, or like, you could see how I'm jumping into different timelines, right? So the reason I want to talk about this is because we're going to see a lot of timeline shifts in the coming years. And it's simple timelines, but it's also complex. And I think I need to dial it back a little bit for some of you so that you understand timelines in the larger scheme of things, and you really try to understand how timeline works and how you can work with timelines. So again, let me know if you guys have any questions. I have my notes here, so we're going to go slowly through this, okay? So the first post that I had made about timelines is when I said, jumping timelines is largely shaped by your internal realm. Okay, so let's just stop there. This is true. If you want to get to another timeline, it's based on your internal realm, what's going inside. It's based on your thoughts, the way you think, your actions, your desires, your interests, your intention. It's based on a combination of many things. But there are four main things that I think that if you're able to master, then you will be able to master jumping timelines, okay? What are those four things? They're in the post, but I will say them here for you. One, you need to own your energy, meaning you need to, let me dial it back. These 4 things may sound a little bit simple to you, but let me tell you, they are extremely loaded and complex. And you may think, I've mastered my own energy. You have not, okay? Okay, or master your power, owning your power, you have not. So the first thing, owning your power, meaning you need to consciously reclaim your power. And half of you can't even do this, okay? So you need to consciously reclaim your power. Take it back from all external sources. Where are you being influenced? Where are you being controlled? Are you self-sovereign? Like, you need to ask yourself these questions. Can you think for yourself? Haven't you broken out of dynamics where you're in relationships with narcissists, or that you are in relationships with people who don't respect your boundaries? Where are you leaking your energy? Where are you giving away your power freely, where you have no control about it? Are you conscious of where your power is going? Do you own it in every single aspect, including your job? A lot of you don't even own your power at your own jobs, right? So you consciously need to reclaim your power and control it. Secondly, you need to understand energy. I've talked about this so many times. A lot of you don't even understand energy. And this is huge because you need to understand every signature vibration. Every signature vibration of everything. You need to be able to tap into the vibrations of peoples, places, things, all day, every day. Each person, place, thing, substance, I don't know, whatever you want to think about, has a signature vibration, and you need to understand it, how it works, and you need to understand how it is being used, and you need to understand how it is affecting you, and you need to understand what you can do with it. You need to understand how it's working. You don't even understand that. Third, you need to focus on your intent. Some of you intend one thing one day. Tomorrow it's a different day, and you intend something else. Your intention is not solidified. Your intention wavers with your emotions. Your intention wavers with your mood and how you feel today. Your intention needs to be super clear. This goes back to what I said, right? Developing a process. Your intention needs to be super clear. The universe will know. So if you've got some bullshit intention going on, guess who's going to find out? And guess who's not getting what they want? You. So again, focus your intention. Number 4, you need to understand the conflicting paradigms of time. You guys don't understand that. You don't understand how time works. A lot of you still feel and think that time works very linear. It doesn't work like that. As much as people say it doesn't work like that, like time is not linear, you will not get it until you experience it. You won't get it until you really experience time. And what do I mean by that? You won't get it until you start having visions, until you start having dreams, downloads, communicating with spirit, communicating with the dead, communicating with the nature. You're not going to get it. And I understand that. Like, it took me a long time to figure out that people don't get that until they experience that. But I'm telling you right now, you need to understand the conflicting paradigms of time, because they do conflict, right? Because we're in the 3D reality, we're in the 3D world, and we think that time is just linear. It really doesn't work like that, right? We have the past, the present, and future, all of them intertwine with each other, and they coexist at the same time. So you may think that something in your present day is not affecting the past or the future, but it really is, right? So they coexist and they kind of work together the way that time is. Time is a whole nother bucket that we can't talk about today because you're just going to get so confused and you're not going to be able to relate. The reason I do these lives and I share these things with you is that when you get to this point, that you're able to relate, that somebody has told you something about this before you get there. Okay? I remember when I was going through this, nobody was saying shit. I had no context. I had no point of reference. I had nothing to be like, okay, well, that's what they were talking about. I get it now. I had none of that. And still I see gurus and teachers and everything, coaches, they're talking about the generality of spirituality, but they're not talking about it in the way that it really needs to be understood. So again, these lives are going to help give you context about what you need to understand and give you a point of reference so that later you come back and you're going to be like, clocked it. That's exactly what she was talking about. So pay attention. Watch the lives. They're on YouTube. You can rewatch it. You don't need to sit here and look at me. Okay? But they're super important and it's free information. Most people are going to charge you. I'm going to tell you that right now. And what you're getting is a sophisticated merchant who's just going to give you superficial shit. That's not what you need. You need the facts and you need to understand how these things work. It's too much for me to go on in a live. Like, it's too much, right? And again, the lives are geared towards the collective and everybody's on a different level. So you need to figure out where you're at and you need to figure out like, you know, what are some of the tools that I'm offering that can help you where you're at. I have like, and I'm not trying to sell you something, right? I'm just letting you know that like there's different levels, right? I have readings for people who need some insight. That's a general level. There's mid-level, there's higher end. So again, you need to really figure out where you're at and then use the resources at that level. That's going to help you. Okay. So now that we've talked about timelines and how it's based on your internal realm, and once you master that, you're able to jump timelines, you need to understand the individual timeline. So we all have individual timelines, right? Individual timelines are based on external events, conditions you experience in life, and your internal responses to them. That determines your timeline that you are currently on, right? So if you're, going to your job every day, going to work, you have 2 kids, you're at home, you're married to your spouse, like this is the timeline you're on because this is what you chose based on your actions, your beliefs, your responses, your experiences in life, and your decisions. Okay, so we all understand the individual timeline. Do other timelines exist that you can get on? Yes, right? Okay, let's use my life for an example, just because you guys are all familiar with my posts. So when you see me going to fashion shows and fashion events and stuff like that, that's a different timeline that I'm going into, right? That timeline exists along with my current timeline, right? So again, I'm dipping in and out of current timelines. You can choose to stay in a timeline or you can leave it. But again, if you haven't mastered your energy in your internal realm, you will drop in and out of timelines, right? It's extremely hard to do. And a lot of people, I can't even do it for long. I can't even do it for long. Let's just put it that way. Like, I dip in and out, but like, it's extremely hard to stay in that timeline. It's a lot of fucking work. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It is, because the 3D reality is very difficult to navigate especially when you want to jump timelines. Like, you really got to master this stuff. Okay, so you guys understand the individual timelines, right? Let me know if you have any questions about that. That's a timeline we're in. That's a timeline you're living in. That's me talking to you right now. Whatever your life looks like, that's your individual timeline. There's other timelines. For example, when I'm going to fashion shows, I'm jumping into that lifestyle and that life, and that's a different timeline that I'm dipping in and out of, okay? Okay. Then there is the collective timeline. Listen to me carefully. I'm going to read this from the post. The collective timeline is the overarching narrative of human history shaped by collective consciousness. So the collective timeline is what is happened throughout human history. It's shaped by the vast majority of the collective consciousness. Okay? So we have the individual timeline and the collective consciousness timeline. You, as an individual, are naturally interwoven into the collective consciousness because you exist here on earth, in society, in the world. You are part of this larger scheme of the collective consciousness. So this is a perfect example. My head is in the middle of this circle that I'm making, which is the world, the collective consciousness. So here I am in the middle, my individual timeline, me in this collective consciousness. Okay, so you understand this. Follow with me, guys. You are part of the collective consciousness. You're naturally interwoven into this because you exist here on Earth. Okay, so how can I phrase this? You need to understand the collective consciousness. Okay, so now you know you're part of the collective consciousness, but the collective consciousness is the vast majority, and you need to understand how the collective consciousness, who they are, how they work, what they think. I will tell you, the collective consciousness is made up of mostly, think of the general population. They're uneducated. They're lower to middle class. Most of them are just surviving. Most of them can't think for themselves. They're followers. They lack a higher level of awareness. They lack higher level of consciousness. They're basic. Okay, that's the collective consciousness. So that's what you're working with. Okay, let me break it down for you. Okay, that's what you're working with. So try to get what I'm saying here. Okay, you see this playing out in religion, politics. Pick an area of history, look at it. That's the collective consciousness. The collective consciousness has remained the same throughout history. That's why I said it's the overarching narrative of human history, shaped by the collective consciousness. It's constantly repeating because of these people aren't changing. People aren't elevating. People aren't raising up in life. They're repeating the same patterns throughout collective consciousness because they're staying uneducated. They're staying in poverty. They're staying in lack. They're staying in these mindsets that are very limiting. So that's the collective consciousness. And when you are part of the collective consciousness and you are, let's say me, right, of a higher vibration or a higher level of consciousness, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You as one individual, what are you going to do to shape and shift the collective? What are you going to do? That's why I'm saying, let's go back to my example where I talked about the mass shooting. That's why I'm posting it there, right? Because you can't do anything to change that collective consciousness or that path or timeline that's unfolding. You can only just clock in and be like, okay, that's what I'm doing, right? When I'm picking up these instances or these little pockets of things that are going to happen and predictions that are going to happen in the world, I'm tapping into the collective consciousness and I'm telling you this is what's going to happen. And I'm letting you know so that maybe you can take some awareness, and then I'm clocking out. You don't see me sitting here talking about religion and politics all day and night and, oh my God, the political climate and should I travel and oh my goodness. Like, that's where the collective consciousness is at. That's why certain things in the political realm and the religious realms have happened the way they've happened, right? Because the collective consciousness has moved that way. And if you look at the individuals within the collective consciousness, you will see that I'm right. So again, what can you do as an individual within this collective consciousness? There's nothing you can do. You can only follow, you can fight, or you can find a way to exist within it. Those are the three things you can do. You can follow. If you follow, you're a dumbass because you can see what's going on and you know what's going to happen and it's not going to play out with your favor, and then you're going to get caught up, you're going to be complaining, and you're going to be talking and chit-chatting and kikiing with all your friends and being like, oh my God, well, can you believe this is going on? Look at the political climate. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. You can fight, but what? One of you is going to fight who? One of you is going to take on the government. One of you is going to take on the church. One of you is going to war. No, fighting's not an option. Unfortunately, it's the latter. It's the third one that I said. You're going to have to find a way to exist within the collective consciousness. That is the only way. That's the only way you're not going to lose your goddamn mind. That's the only way you're going to be able to navigate the 3D world. That's the only way you're going to be able to jump timelines. Like I said, I've given you examples how I'm moving in and out of the timelines. I'm clocking into the collective consciousness, taking the information, giving it back to you, and then I'm out. I'm not staying there. I'm not engaging. I've had people say, well, you're traveling to the US? And I said, well, at some point you need to raise your vibration above that. Or else you're going to be stuck there where the collective consciousness is at. Look at what people are talking about. That will let you know where they are at in their level of consciousness. That will let you know where they are at. Once I hear any shit like that, I am out. Bye. I'm not talking to you. Because you will be stuck there. And once you start getting stuck in the collective consciousness, it is very difficult to pull yourself out. It's like crabs in the crab bucket. You keep slipping. No one's going to get you out. And if they get you out, they're going to kill you. So, like, not literally, you guys. Like, think about crab in the crab bucket. You know what I mean? So again, like, you really need to figure this out. So again, you're probably going to fall into the third category, which I said is you got to find a way to exist within it. And I'm literally giving you the blueprint. This is how you're going to exist within the collective consciousness. You're going to dip in and out, take what you need and leave. So now that you guys see, we have the individual timeline and we have the collective timeline. We have the two timelines. You understand this. You need to understand that this is a dual existence. You are living a dual existence. Like I just said, I described to you the existence, right? How you've got to dip in and out, how you're part of this larger grand scheme of things. Remember, with my head in the middle. So within this dual existence, you need to understand a couple of things. And this is where the confusion lies. At least this is where I see the confusion lying, because people are getting caught up, like I said. You need to understand, I'm reading it from my notes, it's on the post. You need to understand, you need to have an understanding of self. You need to understand identity and purpose. That's how you keep the timelines differentiated. That's how you don't get stuck in the collective consciousness timeline. You keep them separated by understanding self, identity, and purpose. Once you understand those things, you need to honor the reality of the collective. Some of you are so angry that these things are going on and oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Accept it and move on. You can't fight it and you don't want to follow it, so exist within it. So you need to honor the reality of the collective. And you need to honor the sovereignty of the individual. So that's that dual existence. The reality of the collective and the sovereignty of the individual. And how can these two coexist? How can these two work together at the same time? How can you exist in this reality, in this larger overarching narrative shaped by human history and the collective consciousness? Once you figure that out and you're able to master that, then you can jump timelines. Then the collective consciousness will no longer affect you. But like I said, this is not easy to do because you're here in the 3D world and there's a lot of things that you need to work through. Right? I said it before, it's so much work. You have to be acutely aware of what's going on at all levels, at all times. It is exhausting, but you can do it. You don't really have a choice. You have to do it. So I hope that makes sense to you. I know it is a lot. I know it is complex. I know that it is fully loaded and a lot of you are going to have questions. Feel free to leave it in the comment box or like, yeah, just leave a comment under the live. I will answer it. Leave a comment, because a lot of people have questions too and they're scared to ask. So maybe your question will help somebody. You can rewatch the live on YouTube. It's posted there. You can join our free Sovereign Circle broadcast channel. You can sign up for private coaching. You can also book your high vibrational energy reading. That is, again, one of the lower offerings that I have for you. Let's get you on track. Let's get you on board. Let's get you moving. That is a great way to start, okay? And you can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, obviously, and YouTube. And I will be back next week, Sunday, for another live. I will be in town here for a little bit more. I will be traveling again in the summer, but again, it's a really busy time. It's a really busy season for me because of, summer, and I'm going out, and it's travel, and there's just a lot going on, and I'm just at a very different stage in my business and where I want to be at this point. So again, there's a lot going on. So a lot going on in my individual timeline, just put it that way. So I am trying to make the time and the space to be here for you. So again, show up and do your part. Come with your questions for the live. There is usually in my stories a little box where you can put your questions in advance. It's anonymous. Again, start asking questions. Start asking questions. Start getting the help that you need. I'm here to support you. I love you, and I will see you next week, Sunday, live at 2 p.m.